Garrett, David Hood with TigerNet.com. Your focus heading into this spring, now that you've got, all this time under your belt, what was it that you really felt like this is what we're going to focus on this time around?
Well, I mean, it's rinse and repeat a little bit. I mean, every year for us in spring, it's laying the foundation of what we do. All right, I don't care if it's the third-year starter with Kate Klubnik. Like, you got to reset. And so for us, that's always going to be the deal. Is we got to lay the foundation of what we do. We got to improve individually our technique, our fundamentals, all those things. And then I think the overall emphasis on top of all this, not introduction, but just some of the core things that you're trying to accomplish in spring. On top of all that is kind of the sharpness of our execution. Like, we are an older team. We're older for the first time collectively on offense since I've been here. You got guys, third year, same system, same coordinator, all those things. So from a continuity standpoint, we're obviously in a better spot than what we were 2 years ago. And so I think that's kind of the overlying message for us as coaches to these players, and I think our players have taken that to heart. Is we got to become a very, very sharp team, and we should be. That's the expectation for us.
I guess a year ago at this time, you were going through it for the second time, and you saw a lot of benefits in that. Do you see the same thing out of Coach Luke in his sort of second tour, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, it's the second year that he and I get to work with one another. It's the second year that him and Coach Spiller have to dial up run game and blitz pickup and pass protection, all those things together. Same with he and Kyle. And our tight ends obviously are asked to do a lot in this offense. They kind of are the jack of all trades, so everybody's tied in together. And so yeah, there's continuity from a staff standpoint for sure. And now that we've been through the fire of a season together and you kind of figure out one another a little bit more, I'm certainly excited about that moving forward.
And I guess throwing in the veteran quarterback you have with it, I guess it helps the transition of practice going from period to period and everybody kind of knowing what to do and following everybody's lead, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think Cade's leadership is obviously improved the year he had a year ago, and he takes that to heart. But I also think we have really good leadership at other positions on our offense that I'm proud of, and I know that they'll continue to take that to heart and improve as well. But I mean, at receiver, at O-line, we're young probably overall in the room of tight end, but we've got people that have been here for a couple of years. And obviously, they got some shoes to fill. But from a leadership and quality standpoint, I really think we're set up to excel in that area. All right, now obviously you got to still go out there and make plays, and all that stuff matters. But I think from a leadership standpoint, we're in a good spot right now.
Coach Sweeney kind of set the expectation that this would be a spring for younger players, as the older guys kind of rehab, go through surgery. So out of those younger players, who's caught your eye? Who out there you go, okay, this guy's got a chance to play?
Yeah, I mean, just new to us, new to me. I mean, certainly Tristan Smith has caught my eye. A guy that's played, but new to us, new to Clemson. He's just someone that's flashed, and I know he's just going to get better and better at a quick pace. There's been a lot of people. I mean, up front, those guys have gotten a ton of reps. Those new O-linemen, I mean, they've gotten 1 million reps already, which is awesome. Really, all those guys have stood out to me. I've been impressed with just the kind of the grind that they're in right now. Have they messed up? Of course, but they're a hungry young group, I think, at the O-line. So I've been impressed with them as a whole. And then Logan Brooking, Gideon Davidson, they've obviously made some plays and flash as well. So I mean, just really collectively already through 10 practices. I can think of a handful of plays off the top of my head right now where all of them have flashed, no question about it. Like you said, the good thing is it hadn't just been a small sample size. I mean, these guys have gotten a ton of reps through 10 practices.
What about Gideon that's really kind of stood up to you?
The guy's just natural, I mean, he's a natural balance, a cutter. He can be a violent runner. I think he's got natural hands. He can do things. We're spreading him out or things in the passing game. I just think he's a very natural kid, and just seeing him on the field just strikes me as a person that's not really fazed by a whole lot. Like, I think he's confident in himself, and just his demeanor is certainly a strength of his.
With CV, I guess obviously late last season he got some important practice reps, kind of an elevated role. What do you see as his biggest objective? I guess not just for the spring, but the entire off season. What do you want to see sort of the leaps
Sure.
For him to take?
Yeah, I mean, big year for him. You know, and he's gotten a ton of reps already as well, but all these guys got to improve, and I think it's always going to start with decision making, you know, and all these guys are talented, right? They've got a skill set. They're at Clemson, so they've got a skill set. And I think for us to have that sharp execution, like I talked about, for us offensively, is each and every one of those quarterbacks, and especially CV, is the decision making, and that comes with reps. It's not like he's deficient or anything like that in that area. That comes along with reps. It comes along with confidence, and that's what we're starting to see with them. So I fully expect him to make a big jump, and he would say the same.
There are very few questions heading in, to this year. Maybe Adam Randall taking over a running back or the running back spot in general is one of those. What have you seen out of Adam and that entire group?
Yeah, it's obviously a big group for us. You know, I think we've got a variety of different skill set, different talent in that room that we're trying to figure out and disperse these reps here in the spring football. You know, and Adam's a kid that's unique. I mean, he's a guy that I think has a little bit different look in his eye, which is a great thing. You know, I think just kind of the breath of fresh air a little bit from a position change, but obviously he can kind of be a Swiss Army knife type of person, type of player. But I've been really impressed with him through 10 practices.
When you say Swiss Army knife, I mean put him in the slot, line him up at
Yeah, he's a kid you can do anything with. You know, his history of playing receiver and just having that foundation, and then you know, by the way, he's 6'2", 225 pounds, and he's pretty fast. So, you know, just figuring out what he can do, what he can handle, and just kind of getting him up to speed with the rest of the running back position. But, you know, I think just from the mentality and the mental part of it, you know, I've been really pleased with him.
What specifically has flashed with Tristan? Maybe just his length and ability to go up and get it.
Told the quarterbacks they miss him, and they really miss, because he's got quite the range. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a rangy, he's got length, he's a big body person that I think uses his body well. Like, there's some big body guys that necessarily don't use it to their advantage. Like, he's big and he plays big, and I know that sounds simple, but it's really not. You know, and I think he's just someone that's very driven, obviously kind of chip on the shoulder mentality, so I just love that about him and his whole approach.
Look out there with Braden Jacobs, Easton Ware, Roland Byrne. I know I'm missing somebody, but younger guys who look the part. What have you kind of seen out of that group?
Well, I think just early on, we're throwing a lot at them, right? And like I said, just the nature of it, they're getting a ton of reps right now. So I think just handling the daily grind of it here early, you know, in a big sample size, that alone to me is a good sign that these guys can handle it, that they can grind through it. I've seen physicality with every single one of them. You know, I don't see a ton of like timidness that maybe or hesitation you would see from some young O-linemen where their head's spinning and everything's just going fast for them. Not that they've been perfect by any stretch, but I'm seeing a lot of good signs there just from a young offensive lineman standpoint of guys that will fight, guys that will get in there, guys that will be physical, and you know, I don't think they don't strike me as people that will kind of bow down too much. So I think those things you see in practice has been a good sign.
How hungry has Tyler Brown been this spring?
Tyler's been great, man. I mean, he's got the same deal a little bit that Tone had to go through, you know, 2 years ago. My first year here is, you know, you get injured and all this stuff gets taken away from you, and that's hard. It's a hard deal in this game, and I think probably seeing Antonio go through that 2 years ago. It gave Tyler Brown the opportunity, but he also saw how Antonio worked, and he came back off of injury, you know, and so I think he probably drew a lot of that from Tone. But Tyler's been, I think, more driven, I see more of a pro approach right now. You know, I just see some consistency with the way he's practicing, and that's been great to see. And yeah, he's pretty fast too when he's healthy, so that's been good.
What do you make of the tight end position after Jake's departure?
Yeah, it's a fun room. You know, I think we've got a really athletic room overall in there. And, you know, Christian Bittencourt has been a guy that's got a ton of reps and really like his upside. And I think he's got a physical presence to him. I think he's someone that can kind of do everything. And I think that's what he'll end up being here is kind of a jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife type of tight end. That could be a problem. He can be a matchup problem. I really believe that. But, you know, Josh Sapp is definitely flash. He makes a great play for us in the scrimmage right before spring break for a touchdown. And, you know, Banks Pope, he's kind of got figuring out his role, but he really brings a lot of value to our team. And we had to kind of insert him in 2023, my first year here, kind of that second half of the season. He had to insert himself into some critical situations for us. So he's a valuable guy, and you know, I've been proud of him as well. But you know, Logan Brooking, Charlie Johnson is a guy that's kind of moved from receiver to a little bit more tight end, you know, and he kind of gives you another big body, wide out type of weapon. And I think he's someone that's picked up, you know, some of this pretty quickly.
Tom Allen's defense, what's it been like going up against those guys? You know, kind of a new look for him.
Yeah, I mean, new challenge, and I mean, the thing with starting spring football early is like, you know, I know he was getting here and off the road and all that, but I'm on the road recruiting and coming back, and all of a sudden, boom, it's spring practice, and you know, I have no clue what Tom Allen's defense is doing. We're just kind of doing our deal, we're practicing and going out there and figuring it out, but that's what's awesome. It kind of forces you to poke holes in maybe what you're doing offensively, but just seeing him and seeing the staff and the way that they're coaching and approaching this thing has been great. You know, I think the defense, I think the kids are having fun, at least just from my perspective. I think they're doing a great job flying around, but it's certainly a challenge. There's no doubt about it. There's some good players over there too, so it's been a good back and forth so far.
The spring game coming up, this will be our last chance to talk to you. You know, what do you need to accomplish in spring game? Obviously, it's just another scrimmage, but you're going to have a lot of younger offensive linemen out there, a lot of younger players, like we've said.
Yep. What
do you need to see in that spring game that will be a springboard into the summer?
Yeah, I mean, these are all just so different now, I feel like, just the spring games in general. You know, and I think it's actually a good question, like, what are you trying to really accomplish out of it from a coach's perspective? And I think for us offensively is some of these guys that we know are going to have an opportunity to have a bigger role, or players that are just new from the get-go, of seeing how they handle themselves in a stadium in front of a crowd and just being able to function, right? I mean, like, to me, that's kind of the biggest thing that we're trying to see. We're not trying to go out there and be perfect. I don't need Cade to go out there and be perfect or anything like that. I need to see some of these other guys and you know, see, can they function when they're kind of under the lights, and can they make routine plays? Can we get calls in? Are we going to freak out just because there's however many thousand people in the stands? Those are things that we need to evaluate and see on you know, the spring game. And I think it's cool too. The other thing you see as a coach when you get in those settings is you see kind of the demeanor and just the presence of some of these players and coaches on the sideline. You know, it's a little bit more real, right? So I think that's always something that I like to personally gauge, is just kind of how do these people react when it's a little bit more of a game setting.
Coach Sweeney kind of mentioned during his ability is that Cade, one of the things wants Cade to improve on is situational awareness. I guess how we kind of see him develop from his first season that started to last season, now entering the spring.
In terms of going after situational awareness,
yeah,
hitting on that. Yeah, I mean, you're always going to hit on that, and definitely we all need to improve there, and coaches as well. You know, and zero doubt in my mind he's going to do that. So it's reps, it's learning, it's becoming older, the game's slowing down for you, where things aren't sped up and you're able just to kind of process how you need to process in those moments. And you know, I think coach has done a good job of putting some plans together where we're able to really simulate that in practice as much as we can. So it's been a big focus not only for Cade but for our entire team. So that's been good so far through 10 practices, you know, of getting that work.
And what have you seen from a fresh signee, Chris Denson, so far through the first 2 game practices for him?
Yeah, Chris is yeah, he's unique. I mean, he can be an absolute weapon. I mean, everything's moving quickly for him and throwing a lot at him from a quarterback standpoint. There's a lot on their plate early, but this thing will slow down for him very, very quickly as he accumulates more reps. But you know, he's kind of like Gideon a little bit from a personality standpoint. Like he's another one that just I feel like is not fazed by a lot of stuff. Like he's a very calm demeanor. You know, and I like that about him. I don't think a lot of things are going to affect him, which I think's certainly a good trait for a quarterback. So, been impressed with him. He's got a long ways to go, but he's certainly he makes you go wow a few times. Yep.
Anybody else for coach?
One final one. You have a great wide receiver room. Kind of know what you're going to get out of Tom. You got the freshman, you know, Tyler Brown and all those guys. But have you seen what you needed to out of Wesco and more as they now take that next step?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of room of you know, growth for those two in particular. No question about it. You know, I think it just starts just physically with Wesco. You know, he's already, I think, 20 pounds heavier than what he was this last season when he got here. You know, so I think just from a strength and conditioning standpoint, just the physicality for him. But technically and mentally, it's going to be night and day different for them. It should be. You know, I mean, things that are truly muscle memory for those guys and what they do, and not as much thinking like that should happen for them. And I feel like we're seeing that thus far, but there's still definitely another level for them.
Anybody else?
I was coming in from outside, so sorry if we touched on this already, but I feel like in your first year you talked a lot about just personnel and how important having the guys you need in your system is to making the system work. I guess entering this year right now, how do you feel? Like, is this the personnel you feel like is perfect for your offense at Clemson, just overall?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about our personnel for sure. You know, I was telling them, I mean, we're finally an older group, so that always helps. You got continuity, you got people that have played meaningful snaps with one another. You know, you got a veteran quarterback, but yeah, I mean, for us as coaches, with what you have, you got to adapt and figure out what's going to give you the best chance of success. But yeah, certainly excited about our personnel and chemistry and touched on it before you got in here. But you know, I think one of the strengths of our team right now, offensively, is I think we've got a really, really good core of leadership. You know, really in all areas. It's not just Cade Klubnik. You know, I think that's going to be one of the strengths of our team when it's all said and done.
Yeah, this is something you may have already addressed, but Adam Randall, how unique is he as a running back that you can use in the receiving game, matched up against linebackers?
Yeah. We were talking about it earlier. Yeah, I mean, he can be a Swiss Army knife. I mean, he's got certainly a foundation of receiver play and playing out there and having comfortability, you know, splitting out or whatever it is in the passing game. But yeah, I mean, he's unique, and so right now it's trying to throw a lot at him, see what he can handle, see what we feel like we're going to be comfortable with doing with him. But like I told them, I think his mentality, the look in his eye, the way he's approached this whole thing, you know, I've been really, really impressed with him. You know, so I mean, he's going to be fun to work with for sure.
Anyone else, Coach? All right, Coach. Appreciate
All right.